Well, hello, and I'm happy to be here today. I'm Abigail Nicholas, and I am a member of Optimist International Membership Committee, and I have two amazing people here with me this afternoon, and I personally have known them for years, Claire Young and John Young. Claire is in one of the clubs that I belong to, the Tamarack Optimist Club, and John Young is a member of the Mighty Monaco South Optimist Club. But we were very curious about how they have brought so many members in. So I'm going to start off, since I've already mentioned what club you belong to. How did you both get invited to join your clubs? Claire, why don't you start first?
Well, we are both charter members. So as you know, charter members don't have a sponsor, but John was the encouraging factor for me to become a charter member of Tamarack because he was the Tamarack sponsor. So John, you tell them the story about how Ron invited you to come and picked you up for your first meeting.
I don't even remember. Ron, who did?
Well, I don't remember his last name either.
I don't know, been so long ago, someone invited me and I said, well, I'll go. And I did. And I enjoyed it. And I then sponsored over 100 people. And I just invite people when I see them. And you can kind of tell who'd be a good person.
But he came to pick John up that morning. John had forgotten all about it. And John said, go on without me. And he said, no, I'll wait. So he did. And the rest is history.
Persistence is a wonderful thing sometimes. So how long have you both been a member of an Optimist Club?
47 years for John and 28 for me.
Woo, that's a nice combination of years there. All right. And as I mentioned, you're known for your ability to find new club members. So Claire, could you tell us about how you go about locating and then convincing them to join our wonderful clubs?
We all have our little cocoons that we live in, but it's important to just be friendly and meet new people. And there are opportunities to do that everywhere. I don't think you see my shirt, but I have dogs on my shirt, and you can always meet people out dog walking and strike up a conversation. And the key thing is to listen. I used to tell people you kind of go around with your antenna twitching and you just pick up signals. If somebody says, well, I'm new to town, I'd love to meet some new people. Well, I could introduce you to some people in my Optimist Club. And I try to work Optimist Club into my conversation somehow. And then I listen to see if that sparks a response. Oh, I'm way too busy, or no, I wouldn't ever do a service club. But if somebody says, well, that sounds interesting, what do the optimists do? Then you're off and running and you can tell them and be enthusiastic about what your club does. John, is that pretty much your MO?
That's it. Sure.
Mm-hmm.
And do you, let's say the person says no the first time, do you ask again at a different moment, or you just kind of I think I know the answer from Claire because she's just so good at it, but tell us, do you just let them go or do you ask again?
It depends. It depends on what their reasoning is. Some people have a very valid reason why they can't or don't want to participate at that very moment. But if there's a spark of interest, I think the really important thing is to get their information. If it's somebody you don't know,
right.
I always try to write down their contact information and follow up. I think that's the biggest mistake that most people make is they don't follow up, because rarely do you ever get somebody who says, right on, I'll be there next week. You know, they forget until they get into the rhythm of coming. So sometimes you have to follow up a lot of times.
Okay. And again, tell us, Claire and John, how about approximately how many members that you have brought into each of your clubs?
John?
Somewhere over 100, I don't know, 110 or 20.
We should have confetti and everything going right now.
That's kind of a combined number. John is probably close to 90 and I'm about 38 or so.
Oh, that's just excellent, to say the least, really. And I know personally a lot of the members that these two wonderful people have brought into the Tamarack Optimist Club and the Monaco South Club. I just consider them all dear friends. Do you have any other comments anything else you'd like to add?
One thing I would add is that I think another mistake that people make is that they think you have to know the person or be a friend to somebody that you're going to recruit. And that is not true at all. You become friends, but I'll just give one example that might spark somebody's thought process. We had a woman in our club who was the coffee setup lady. And she would sit in the back of the room after she'd served the coffee and listen to our meetings. And so I started visiting with her and found out her circumstances. She joined and she loves the group. She was a person who needed a sisterhood since we're an all-female group. And of course, John and I kind of have an advantage because we have two different clubs. So sometimes I get spouses from his club to join the all-women's club.
Oh, yes.
That's happened oftentimes. But
Absolutely.
but I do think a mistake is that people feel like they have to know the person well in order to invite them to come. And a second thing I would throw out is don't overlook former members, because people join and then sometimes they drop out for various reasons. Maybe there's an illness in the family, or they go back to work, or for some reason they need to drop out. Re-invite them.
Yep.
We have several members that have rejoined and become
Right.
good members.
I can think of one dear sweet little thing right now in our Optimist Club that rejoined after you asked her again. So,
You know, in my conversation with Claire yesterday, and she graciously, as with John, agreed to do this, she mentioned one thing about just asking. Claire, would you like to maybe expand on that a little bit before we sign off?
Well, that's the real obvious one. Don't be afraid to ask. Both John and I have background in sales. And so you know, if you've ever been in sales, that if you ask for the order or you ask for what you want, you know, or you hope people will say yes to, you're going to get some rejection. Don't feel rejected, but ask anyway. And sometimes you'll get a yes, but do follow up. Do follow up. I'll give you another example that just happened to us this week. We were shopping at the grocery store, and this clerk that was out there gathering the baskets together came over to John and he said, "I recognize you from the tree lot, the Optimist tree lot." And so we chatted a little bit, and clearly he knows about the Optimist, seemed kind of interested. He said, "I also know Joe Markey." Well, good. So I came home and I sent an email to Joe and said, "Have you followed up with Max over at Safeway? Because he seems to know you and he'd like to be re-invited to the Optimist." So just ask and then follow up.
anything else? And if not, I just want to thank you both so much, not only for the advice and the information, but honestly for what you have done. Hello to all. I am Abigail Nicholas. I am on the Optimist International Membership Committee, and here today with us is a fascinating gentleman. I know him quite well for many years. His name is Craig Baldwin, and he is not only a member of the Heather Gardens Optimist Club, but he has been a district treasurer on and off in our district for many years. And so he knows his way around. But I heard and I know that he is very good at finding new members for his club. So we're going to get some information from him. Let's start with Craig. How did you get invited to join your club?
We had some friends that invited us. Both the husband and wife were members, and they invited Jean and me to join about 11 years ago.
Oh, 11 years. Okay, very good. And as I mentioned, you're known for your ability to find new club members. So would you share with us how you go about locating a prospective new member and maybe then convincing them to join?
Well, we live in a senior community, 55 and older people, and about 4,000 population. And we have a resident orientation each month for new residents that come in. And as a director of the association, I was asked to provide information on the workings of the association. And so as I began speaking, and then after a few months, I asked the staff that was in charge of the programs if I could mention Optimist Club, and they agreed. So I took a packet each month and passed it out and asked and told them about the wonderful Optimist Club that we have. It's the only service club in our community, and that's how I got most of my membership, most of my sponsors. You know.
And how many do you think that you have brought in over your 11 years?
Well, I have brought in 51,
Oh,
and Jean, my wife, has brought in 9. So
oh my
together we've
goodness.
got about 60.
Yes, a nice round 60. And I heard you say that you bring packets. So you have an application and information right there.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
And I always bring a pen, a Optimist pen, so they can fill it out if they so desire.
So no excuse about, oh, I can't sign that. I don't have a pen.
Yeah, that's exactly
Right?
And I'll help them fill it out too.
Right. So do you have a couple of fun stories you might want to share with us in getting some people in?
Well, yes, I had one gentleman, I mentioned our food drive, and he said that back in Virginia, where they came from, that they had a food drive also, and he went on and on and on about how they were so successful it was. And I said, then you need to join Optimist so that you can be the chairman of our food drive. And he and his wife became members then, shortly after that.
So would you say that trying to find out a little bit about the person helps before you really ask them, because then you kind of know where they would fit into your
Yeah.
Optimist Club?
Yes, of course, the setting that we have at the resident orientation, there's not a chance for them to speak about themselves. That comes later. But I'll tell you, one of the ways that I've been able to do that is that we have pancake breakfast, spring and fall. We have ice cream social, and on the tables we put welcome to Heather Gard's Optimist Club pancake breakfast or ice cream, whatever it is. And if you would like to know more about the Optimist Club, ask an optimist. And I would go and sit at the table with them once they had an interest, and that's when I found out about them. Yes, that's.
So because I think that it's very important to be able to tell them something wonderful that will meet their needs,
Exactly.
up front, if you can do that. So that is great.
I might, excuse me, I might add that with the people that come to the resident orientation, they may have already had a service background, and when they come, they may be looking for a way to serve the community.
You do some kind of follow-up, planned follow-up or anything after they've received that packet, or do you check in with them? Do you get their information up front?
Yes and no.
Okay.
One of the things that I have done in the past, is I don't take no for an answer. No isn't in my vocabulary. Had one couple joined the club about a year after I was introduced to them, and they made a point when they joined, said Craig was on us for a year, and we finally couldn't say no anymore. And a good couple. They were a good couple to have with us.
Well, good. Okay, I think that's fascinating. And again, so between you and Jean, you have brought in 60 new members in 11 years. And by the way, I don't know how you got into that, retirement community, because I thought you were 39. I know that's what you told me.
Okay. Yeah, we were married when we were really young, yes. And
Right?
we're not
Right.
quite 55 yet.
Okay. Do you have any other comments for us, Craig, in regards to new membership?
Well, I had business cards made up, and on the back of the business card, I put a free breakfast with the Optimist Club. And our restaurant does not serve breakfast, only to the Optimist Club. So they knew that a breakfast meant with the Optimist, not just walking into the restaurant. So yeah, that's the way a lot of people were invited that way too. That show this card when you come to check in for the meeting.
Great idea. Great idea. Thank you so much for sharing today. Much appreciated.
Well, I appreciate your asking.